Democrats and Republicans already heard. So they should have this knowledge and move forward addressing the issues that I've brought up, hopefully in the near future. Now, when we're talking about electricity in the generation mix in the state of Oregon, we have a high amount of renewable energy already, if you count hydroelectricity as renewable. We're about 65, this is a little bit of well. Now, consumption's a little bit different than generation. We purchase electricity from more than just inside Oregon borders. We also import coal energy from Idaho and some surrounding places. Now, even when you break this down, and these are a little bit older figures, this came out of the Oregon Department of Energy, and the latest figures are from 2003. They got a little bit of work to do. But we're about 55% renewable energy in the state. So what I like to do is I like to give the positives of where we're at to legislators so that they know that we're doing a good thing where we're at and they don't need to meddle anymore in it. Oregon is currently ranked 48th out of 50 states in carbon intensity. Now that's carbon dioxide emissions per unit of electricity created. Now I know most of the folks in here, including myself, are not too worried about carbon dioxide emissions. But there's a few legislators in Oregon that are. Now, real pollutants, not carbon dioxide, but actual real pollutants, sulfur dioxide and nitrous oxide, were 46th and 48th of the entire United States. And why do we have so little emissions coming out of our electricity generation? It's mainly because most of our electricity is generated by water falling over a dam. Now, the federal government classifies hydroelectricity as renewable energy. The Energy and Information Administration does all the statistics for the federal government on this. They classify hydroelectricity as renewable, and because of that, we're third out of the entire nation on capacity, the amount, and generation of renewable energy. We're doing really, really well, third. But legislators didn't think that was enough. In 2007, they decided to not classify hydroelectricity as renewable energy. So, water falling over the dams in the Columbia River and all these other rivers around Oregon does not classify as renewable energy. And they did this because they wanted to force a certain amount of, I would say, politically preferred renewable energy onto the electricity grid system. That mainly being wind energy, for the most part. So in 2007, they passed a bill. It was Senate Bill 838. It's also known as the Renewable Portfolio Standards, but I'll call it Renewable Energy Mandates. And what it does is it forces the major utilities, Pacific Power, PGE, to procure 25% of their energy sources from renewable sources by 2025. Now, if you look at the last slides that I had, we were already at 63 and 55%. We should have already met those goals. But they specifically excluded hydroelectric power from being considered renewable. So these mandates have to be met by wind energy, solar energy, ocean energy, which includes wave, tidal, and thermal energy. Specific forms of biomass energy, there was a weird specification in there that it had to be built after 1999, so I said it's some sort of age discrimination on renewable energy, and also hydrogen. So renewable energy doesn't count. Now, when I'm talking about energy supply choices or energy policy in the state, it's not just the renewable energy mandates that I just spoke of that paint utilities into the corner on what type of energy they're providing us. But also we banned nuclear power in 1980. In 2009, this is one I fought vehemently against, we effectively banned coal power in the state. We only have actually one coal plant in the entire state of Oregon. It's in Boardman. That'll be shut down mainly due to environmentalist pressure by 2020. But we're not even allowed to purchase coal power in the future, engage in future contracts with, let's say, Idaho to purchase coal-generated power. Now, there's some issues with coal power, but it is affordable and reliable as well, which we always need to balance those things. Now, like I said before, hydroelectricity, we're not going to be building any more big dams. In fact, as you folks probably well know, we're pulling out dams out of many rivers. And it doesn't count as renewable electricity, so that doesn't count either. And natural gas. Natural gas is a clean energy source, provides baseload power, those power plants that run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But many people don't know. In fact, even some of the legislators that I talked with were surprised to hear that we're the only, well, the first state in the nation to have a carbon tax. It was passed in 1997. You guys didn't know. Don't worry, this part will be depressing. Later on I'll talk about uplifting things, okay? We do have a carbon tax. So when a developer comes in and he says, I want to build a natural gas power plant, he has to pay millions of dollars to an organization called the Climate Trust in Oregon. If you haven't heard of them, you should look them up. And those millions of dollars is spent on goofy carbon offset projects all around the world, including places like Ecuador. So the price of natural gas in the state of Oregon is artificially higher than it would be in other places. So now there's a lot of numbers on here. I'm going to go through this, but I'll explain it. First of all, levelized cost. What that is a convenient cost comparison. So when you build a power plant, the capital cost of construction, the operating and maintenance cost over the lifetime of the power plant, and also decommissioning costs. It includes all of those. Now on the bottom of the screen, you got wind, solar, geothermal, biomass. All of those energy forms are significantly more expensive than the fossil fuels, the nuclear, and also the hydroelectricity as well. But as you can tell, all the ones on the bottom are the only ones we're able to build in the state of Oregon, according to the more hydro plants, and they don't count towards the renewable portfolio standard. So all the power we're going to be building is much more expensive energy than the other sources. Now when I say that, some folks will say down there, particularly Democrats, they'll say, well, we can make